I'd like to call to order the Westmont Village Board meeting on May 28, 2015 at 6 o'clock p.m. to order, and I'd like roll call Clerk Sipsky.
Mayor Gunther.
Here.
The clerk's here. Trustee Addington.
Here.
Trustee Barker.
Here.
Trustee Barry.
Here.
Trustee Guzzo. Here. Trustee Little. Here. Trustee Nero.
Here.
Manager May.
Here.
Finance Director Parker.
Here.
Attorney Zimonek.
Here. Would everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And good evening and welcome everybody. Tonight's meeting, we'll start off with open forum, and I do have 3 requests. If there's anybody else who'd like to speak on an item that's not on the agenda, now's the time to fill out an open forum request. Chief Mulhern. Okay, seeing none, I'll call upon them in the order I received them. I have Christina Warble, and could you please state your address or your business and your business where you're representing?
Okay, it's Westmont Special Events.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Christina Roble, and thank you for having me today to speak about Westmont Special Events Street Fair. So it's going to be happening every Thursday from 5 to 9 p.m. in June, July, August. I am very excited to announce that we are closing 3rd block on the Cass Avenue, which we're going to be closing from Burlington Avenue to Naperville Road. With that said, we're going to have more space for the classic cars, kids' activities. We're going to have live music, DJs, radio stations performances, food demonstrations. Oops, there we go. Food demonstrations, and I want to encourage everyone to invite family and friends to participate at our street fair. And if you would like to volunteer or know someone who would like to volunteer, they can reach me at the office. Our phone number is 630-829-9378. Sorry. Our email is wsec@westmontevents.com. Any questions? Okay, so Bob.
Next request was from Bob Reed, and he seems to be standing next to you.
This is just our sponsors that we have for automotive services. EW, I don't have my glasses. The Bugle, Certified Towing, O'Reilly Auto Parts, State Farm Insurance, Village Automotive, Neighbors Magazine, and that's our sponsors for the cruise night. They'll be out there at their tables and booths. It's quite a showing. And we did have a meeting today with the police and fire department, and they're going to be in town. The dates. Police cars will be June 18th, and the fire trucks is July 30th, which should fill up town pretty well.
We look forward to it.
Ours?
One of your sponsors have anything to add?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I forgot.
Yeah. My name's Mike. I own Neat Kitchen and Bar, and we're on the block that you guys are going to be closing now, and we're super excited about that. This will be our 3rd year participating in the car shows, but with it not being closed all the way by us, it really didn't help or hurt us too much, but we're really excited this year. So we're doing our part to make sure we get cars and people down. We have a bunch of activities planned. We're going to have a laser tag event for the kids every Thursday. We'll set that up in our parking lot. One of my employees has a laser tag company, and they'll do little demos and fun stuff for the kids. We have Napleton Porsche. We talked with them. They're bringing down a bunch of cars for the first Thursday, so help get some activity on that side. We have Mike from Musicians Workshop right next door. He's going to be playing some music outside in our parking lot. And then we just have, we had a bunch of different food specials. We have, every week we're going to have a different brewery or wine or whiskey company coming by to, just do some promotion and hand out some stuff. The first one we'll have Tim from 51st Ward, who's a Westmont resident. He's debuting a new beer, so we'll be there, and then so will Penrose. So we'll have plenty of activities. So we're really excited that for the car shows this year, and we hope it keeps growing and getting bigger and bigger. So thank you guys for
Thank you for being a
allowing us.
sponsor.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Good luck.
Super.
Any board member have a question for the special events or need?
Do you want to state your name again?
Yeah, I forgot.
Mike Cairo,
And
C-A-I-R-O.
The business address
C-I,
C-A-I-R-O, like Egypt.
okay.
and the business address?
It's 246 North Cass.
Yeah, we try to,
Thank you, Mike.
thank you.
So Steve, you may know that, but if the road's gonna be closed 5 to 9, when are they gonna actually close the road down? 4:30? 4:30, Cass will be closed.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Thank you. I have one more open forum request. It's from Dave Westbrook. And please give us your address, and you're here for new ice and water inspection and permit costs.
Yes, I live at 325 North Warwick. Been a Westmont resident my whole life. Now, out of nowhere, the village decided to do ice and water inspections, and what this does is put a lot of liability on our residents and the contractors. Having to wait for an ice and water inspection, a perfect for instance, last Monday, I set up my inspection after I found out I had to have one. And when I had a 2-layer roof that I tore off, and surprise, surprise, I had to replace 30 sheets of plywood that wasn't planned. You never know what you're getting into, and then we got to fight rain. So I had to change my inspection. I asked them if they can come at 5:30. We'll have the roof sheeted, and you can't get an inspection after 3, or they leave at 3:30. They said they'd be there first thing in the morning. They got there at 9:15. So instead of me being able to take care of a Westmont resident that I could have shingled in the back half of the house that we tore off and replaced 30 sheets of plywood, we couldn't do it. We had to wait overnight and come back the next day and wait for approval. And again, to this week, I'm tearing off a roof, and I would have shingled the back half of the house we're on. It's a 50 square building that we're working on, which is a rather large house. And instead of being able to shingle it in, I have to wait for tomorrow morning's inspection, and they're calling for rain tomorrow. So now I got to put tarps on top of my felt paper. There's just a lot of extra liability for a useless cause. Ice and water is a very good product. It's a 10-year product, and it should be used on every job, but it's not going to prevent roofs from leaking. I've had 3 roofs in Westmont alone that were brand new that I had to replace that were done wrong, and every one of them had ice and water shield on them. If we're going to go to the lengths of these inspections, we need to get up on the roof and do final inspections, or change some things up, or make it where a resident, if they want to sign a waiver where they trust their contractor and the village doesn't need to come out for an ice and water inspection, something like that, because then they can get their house protected a lot faster and more efficient. And now, after 16 years of coming here and getting permits, I have to wait a minimum 24-hour. How is that progressive? I don't understand. Every other town I work in, I'm in and out in 15 minutes with a permit. I'm sure Harold probably has most of the same experience with permits. I don't understand the delay out of nowhere, like this new process we're doing. It makes no sense. But the more important thing is the ice and water shield and the liability we're putting on contractors and homeowners having to wait on an inspection for something that really doesn't mean that much in the end if the roof's installed wrong. It's not just Westmont, but I live here, so this is why I'm here today. I had one in Downers Grove last year that was 2 weeks old and caused $13,000 of damage inside the house, and there was ice and water shield all over it. The shingles were installed wrong. None of the flashing was done right, and the house got destroyed. But I don't see any positive thing out of this besides wasting our time. And I did have a meeting with Steve May the other morning, And I think it was a good meeting overall. You know, we got another contractor came with me, another reputable contractor who's been working in this town for over 20 years, who is on the same page as me. It's just, you know, we got to battle snow, rain, ice. There's elements out there that I have to protect my customers against. And having to wait on inspections between whatever, 9:15 in the morning to 3:30 just really doesn't work out in my schedule. When I leave here, I'm going back to work to make sure I'm ready for my ice and water inspection in the morning. And I got to tarp the roof. It's a very big concern for me and all my customers. I've made everyone aware of it that I deal with in town. So.
Well, again, thank you, but I turned to Manager May because you did have the meeting, and I know there were some other options that you explored.
Well, there were, and the comments you're expressing tonight are exactly were those expressed at the meeting, and, we did in fact work out how, when your scheduled inspection cannot be met for reasons that are unforeseen or for whatever reason can't be done, how to handle those inspections on a case-by-case basis. And that was worked out with the building commissioner and community development, and you know how to handle that. So if there's any waiting, it's because the indeterminate, when this inspection would be needed. And you have a process for how to handle it when that happens. So I'm a little confused by, the repeat of the concern when you know what the solution is.
Well, I'd like the town to be aware of it, and it's not a very good solution. I mean, he said I can take a picture, but I got to build up a reputation with them and build up a
Well, what we were saying
relationship.
is we cannot treat you differently than any other roof contractor or any other contractor, any other permittee either. He doesn't know who you are, and until he understands that, there's no free ticket to, work at your own pace and not check in.
I'm not looking for a free ticket. I'm looking at this community and worried about the residents in this
Well,
community.
So are we.
It doesn't seem like it, but that's okay.
Thank you, though.
And I hope the board hears and understands what's going on.
Well, Dave, I voted against the 2012 building codes, and I've talked to Nick since this meeting, and he is being lenient. That particular job you talk about removing plywood, the new code reads you're technically supposed to change the insulation once that much plywood is removed. And the energy code, he feels he is working with you. I find it somewhat shocking to hear you complaining about the village and Westmont when for years you're running a commercial business out of a residential area with multiple lettered trucks, D-plated trucks, guys meeting there in the morning to go out. I mean, the village has turned a blind eye and let you get away with that at a third of the cost that another contractor that would try to operate that same business in this town would have to have. So to sit here and complain about we're not progressive or where are we going, I think that they've been very lenient to you. And again, as a guy who has a business in this town, who pays more for cable, pays more for phone, has to install a fire alarm, it's upsetting to me to see code enforcement just turn a blind eye on guys like yourself and other contractors that have commercial vehicles and are running business out of residential areas and not paying the same fees I am and not to the same restrictions. So I find the knock on Westmont really not that accurate, or it shouldn't be coming from you that way, and so I don't see it necessarily. Again, I did not vote for, the record will show, I did not vote to have that 2012 building code enforced now. I'm in agreement with you on that, but to not be a progressive village or any of those things, I just don't think is warranted at this point,
Just so you know, no one ever comes to my house in the morning. I have 2 vehicles that I park in my driveway, and I don't have customers come to my house for anything. I go to them and I provide a service to them, and there's no contractors coming to my house in the morning. That doesn't happen. I don't know where you see that, but I park 2 vehicles at my house. And I run my business by going to customers' houses. I have full-time employees. I pay workman's comp. I don't subcontract my work. And, there's a big difference in quality around here. I mean, this can turn into something stupid. I do think that people should open their eyes to what's going on to these residents with these codes and the way it's enforced.
Well, thank you.
I agree.
Yeah, we
And
do
again,
appreciate your comments, and
yeah. They're being enforced hopefully for the residents as much as it is against the resident. I mean, we can differ on that, but that's the reason why they are there.
What about the board looking at like some type of waiver though, that the resident can sign, you know, that trusts their contractor so they can get the job done more efficiently? I mean, can we look into that?
Anything's possible. That's why we hired our
And actually,
professional staff.
everything we talked about at that meeting would, appear at the next community development meeting of the village board. I can't tell you when that's scheduled, but that kind of workshop work does take place. And, what I wanted to say a minute ago was, if anything, I regret that you felt that the village board wasn't aware, of your concerns, because they are filled in. And, so I'm sorry if you believe that if you were just dealing with staff or anything. So they are kept informed and, are familiar with your concerns.
Yeah. And it will be on that committee.
But that was going to be my question
Yeah.
was, let's refer this back and discuss it, because other little pieces of that code have cropped up from time to time.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, I've known this guy for a long time, and I know the kind of work he does, so we
And
just
Steve,
need to discuss it.
the photograph option is still approved though, right? I mean,
It's
You do that right away.
approved at the time with that permit. If they're not ready for the inspection and the inspector can't come back when they need the inspection, that option can be used, with permission in that case. It's not just blanket, take pictures of your work and submit them
But
later.
we'll let you know when it comes up for committee discussion.
It's June 11th, in fact.
'Cause,
June
yeah,
11th?
and you're more than welcome to come to that committee meeting. That's open to the public,
Yeah,
so.
it's in this room.
so.
All right.
Okay.
good,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. All right. Since,
You're still welcome to come over and visit Jimmy.
Seeing no other open forum requests, the open forum will be closed. We'll move on to reports. The first one is the mayor. I have a couple items. About a week ago, we had the Color Stomp 5K recap. It was a huge success, 5K run. We had over 250 runners, 300 total participants, and this was put together by Heather Blaney, who's a junior at Westmont High School, and Michelle Torsey, who's a teacher at the school, or media. And this was about human trafficking and awareness, and it was very successful, and it was at Ty Warner. And I think for a first-time event, that's probably one of the most participants I've seen in a 5K race. So just want to congratulate them on a great event. There is another new event coming to town. The TICO, or the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office on 63rd Street, is bringing a folk sports troupe. They'll be coming to Chicago area on the 19th and 20th of July, and there'll be a possible performance in the area on July 20th. I'm kind of excited about this. Community Marketing Public Relations Director, we keep changing your title, Larry. Larry McIntyre will be working with them to promote this event. We'll have more information as we get closer to it. And again, my last thing, of course, is a reminder to everybody, our meetings will start now at 6 o'clock every other week, with committee meetings starting at 4:30 prior to the board meeting. And check your calendars on what committee is scheduled for what date. Other than that, and tomorrow night is the Relay for Life.
Really, really.
And that'll be held at Ty Warner Park, and start from 5 o'clock on. So anybody who is interested in that, please go up to Ty Warner, and you're welcome to participate. Moving on, the village manager, May.
Mayor, I just had one item. I wanted to remind everyone that despite how much rain we've been having, we do have also sprinkler restrictions are in effect. They went into effect May 15th. Our water conservation sprinkler restriction is an odd-even system, and from 7 and 11 in the morning and 7 and 11 in the evening. That's when it's permitted. So if you have an odd-numbered address, you can permit on odd-numbered days of the month between those hours.
And I had a question, the hand sprinkling.
If you want to stand out there and hold the hose, you can do it 24 hours. It's just the automated sprinkler.
It's the automatic sprinkler,
Yeah,
okay.
the unattended irrigation.
Okay.
And your rain barrels you can always use, right?
What was the timing?
7 a.m., 7 to 11 a.m., 7 to 11 p.m.
Okay,
is permitted.
thank you.
That's it. Village Clerk Simsky.
I want to remind everybody that with the street fair starting next Thursday, the Westmont Rotary Club will be out there every week selling split the pot tickets for education, for our scholarships. So we'll be doing that every week. The race to the flag was very successful Sunday. We had 435, 33, I thought it was 35 at the end. I think we added two
That was
more.
the biggest time ever, wasn't it?
It was the biggest race ever for Race to the Flag, which goes to St. Jude's Hospital. So congratulations on that. I thought the red, white, and barbecue was outstanding this past weekend. The weather was great. We had wonderful crowds until Sunday afternoon when the rain
When it
poured.
rained.
But those things happened, but it was a good time for everybody. I hope people will continue to come out because we had wonderful crowds and everybody was having a good time. So congratulations to the Lions and everyone involved in that. And last but not least, this Saturday, the Downers Grove Township will have an open house at their facility, which is 4340 Prince Street in Downers Grove, and it'll be from 11 o'clock a.m. till 2 p.m. So that's all I
Thank
have.
you. Attorney Zimmerman.
Nothing to report tonight, thanks.
Trustees, we'll go to Trustee Barker.
A couple of things this evening. As we just heard, the Community Development Committee meeting is scheduled for June 11th, and that is going to be at our new time of 4:30, I believe.
Right.
And
And that does take into account the building zoning issues like we heard tonight, so
Absolutely.
I'm glad it's the next meeting.
it's a perfect forum for that. Also, Westmont First, we met on May 20th and had a good meeting. We have new representation from the library, but again, that was a good meeting. The next one, which is typically the third Wednesday of the month, is actually going to be the fourth Wednesday of the month. It's scheduled for June 24th at 7 p.m. The executive session room over here. So if you want to join us for Westmont First, and that's a special invite to Sue Seneca and Bob Scott to join us for that. And then part of the thing that we're working on there is developing the historical book for Westmont, which as we go through this, they're going to probably start doing interviews and that kind of thing in the next 6 months or so. But we have time to complete it. But it's an exciting project that we're starting to just, sink our teeth into. Then the last thing is personal to me. Last Saturday, our pastor, Father Michael Danick at Holy Trinity, Father Michael Danick was buried last Saturday there was a packed church. And I have to say, for those of you that couldn't make the funeral, the homily given by the priest was phenomenal. It's available online, but it's phenomenal. As the story goes, Father Danick was late for everything, no matter what it was. Always late, and the one thing he was early for was his death. So, but a very, sad time at the church, and we have the bunting up on the church for the next 30 days. So keep all of us in your prayers, and we'll get through this. I know he loved the community, loved being involved in things, and very social person, so he will be missed. Okay,
Thank you.
that's all. Thank you.
Trustee Guzzo.
First, I want to thank everyone for coming out Monday. We had the Memorial Day Parade. It was nice to see everybody out. It rained before. We got the parade finished up. We got the memorial service, and then it rained again. So it was just very nice to see everybody turned out because the weather was not conducive at all. And just so everyone knows, I am the new Finance Committee Chair and looking forward to jumping in feet first. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Nero.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. Our Public Safety Committee meeting will be June 25th at 4:30 right here. The next item, as far as police department, I just want to update everybody on the Special Olympics fundraiser, which was the paper shredding event. We raised over $900, so it was a very successful event. And then I'd like to invite Chief Mulhern up to talk about Cop on Top of Dunkin' Donuts.
I will be short. Thank you, Trustee Nero. End of May means Cop on Top time, so tomorrow we'll be down at Dunkin' Donuts, 63rd on Cass, just east of Cass on the south side of the street. We will be there from 6 o'clock in the morning till about 11 or noon. Myself, the two Deputy Chief Gunther and Deputy Chief Benz will be there, along with several volunteers and also Special Olympians. We have some global messengers. We have a local global messenger, Michelle Forsley, will be our messenger, be with us tomorrow from about 7 to around 11. Then she's got to get to work. So she'll be down there. So all the donations, all the money we raise, it's the only fundraiser, main fundraiser that the police department has. It's the only charity that the police department has. All money goes towards Special Olympics. Nothing goes towards the police department. All goes towards the athletes and the Olympians. And it's our way of helping give back to them. So if you have a chance, stop by Dunkin' Donuts. We will have mugs for sale for $10, and you get a free cup of coffee with that. And then if any donation, no matter how small, you'll get one free donut. Not made by me, so she'll be able to eat it. So, thank you.
Chief, while you're there, one quick thing. How did the auction go, the police auction we just had?
We had a small turnout than normal, but smaller amount of items than normal to be sold off. I believe it was around $843 is what we made. All that money goes to the general fund. And what that is, it's unclaimed or found property that by law we cannot keep. We have to auction off, and the funds go towards the general fund of the village.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next I'd like to call up Chief Wifes to talk about the kids' safety camp and a couple other things.
Thank you, Trustee Nero. It's been reported to me that our enrollment for our kids' safety preparedness camps are kind of low this year. So I want to have the opportunity to get the message out to our residents that our police and fire safety camps this year is June 16th and 17th, July 16th and 17th, and August 6th and 7th. The program runs 9 to 3 each day. It's held at the Fire Department Headquarters Station at 6015 South Cass. And you need to contact the Fire Department 981-6424. Chris Hardy at westmont.il.gov is the email you can contact to get an application, or just stop in the firehouse, South Firehouse, and we get your children signed up. It's a great camp, and we're looking forward to trying to get this message out to all our young kids in our community. So.
Cool, thank you. And while you're there too, I think the Kurt's Ambulance sponsorship.
Yeah, of course, every year I'm always looking for additional funding, how to fund things within the village and the fire department. And our staff saw a need that we needed to. We used to have bike paramedics a long while back, and we had to cut that program because of budget cuts. And with the adding of the stretch of our Thursday night car events, making that bigger, I reached out to Kurt's, and the owner has agreed to bring back our bike medics, to have a bike medic every Thursday night at every car show for all 3 months. And they're also sponsoring the bike medics and our first aid tents at Red, White Barbecue, 4th of July, and the Taste of Westmont. So when you look at that, that value in wages is about $6,000 of service that he is offering to our community, and we're grateful for that. And Deputy Chief Riley is working on getting the bike medics back on the bike and getting things moving forward. But watch for every Thursday night at the car show, you'll see a bike medic riding around, and we'll be there physically to protect our residents.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next item real quick. I know the clerk touched on it, Downers Grove Township's open house. Just a little more information. It's rather more of a family-friendly event. They're gonna have a petting zoo, hot dogs, refreshments, equipment out for people to see and really understand what the township is all about. So feel free to go on out there and really learn what they do. It should be a good event. And then lastly, last night, we had a special meeting for the St. Joseph's Creek Stream Bank Stabilization Project that is currently going on. We invited all the residents that are affected to come out because there was a kind of a long-term project. We just wanted to clarify everything, and I felt the meeting went really well. We had 7 of 9 residents, I believe, here, and everybody got their questions answered as far as what was going on, the process, what to expect, and when things are going to get done. So overall, it was a good meeting for them. I think everybody left on the right foot, and I got notification today that they started work on it, so it's a good sign. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Trustee Barry.
I just have a couple of things, Mayor. The next Public Works Committee will be July 9th. Again, that'll be 4:30 before our regular board meeting. The Environmental Improvement Commission is coming off a long and stressful month. They had all their Earth Month activities. Everything went well. The library was involved. Many different organizations in the community had a lot of events. So again, the Environmental Improvement Commission, thank you. You guys are doing a great job. For now, they're working on the guest speakers for the fall, and then the June 1st meeting has been canceled, so the next meeting will be in August for their regular meeting. And then I'd just like to pre-congratulate, or wish good luck, I guess, to Anisha Senti and Doug Gorillick. They are getting married this weekend, and probably the last 20 years of Westmont High graduates will be at that wedding this weekend. So if anyone wants to see them, come to the Lyle Hilton this Saturday. So good luck to them and congratulations. That's all I have.
Trustee Little.
I'm the chair of the Administration Committee, and unfortunately, due to Metra messing up tonight, I missed the first 15 or so minutes of the meeting, but I can recap by saying that there was discussion on stipends for commissions and committees, which will be delayed for review until next year during budgeting time. The non-for-profit solicitation will allow local organizations only to solicit money at the intersections one time each year. And there was discussion on waste hauling. And the last thing that I have is, while the street fair is being moved up and we're doing an extra block, I just want everybody to remember to support our businesses on the south end as well as the north end of Cass, and come out and enjoy yourselves, but don't forget our businesses that we're trying to promote as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Addington.
Yes, sir, thank you. Couple things. First one, most importantly, schools are going to be getting out here in the next few days. When is Holy Trinity's last day? Tomorrow. Tomorrow. And I know, like, Manning School, I think, is on Tuesday. So kids are going to be out, they're going to be out playing, they're going to be on the streets with their bikes and scooters and everything else that they have, that rolls. So please, be careful, watch out for our kids. It's summertime, and they have a good time. The other thing is, again, barbecue was an extreme success this year. We had a lot of fun with it. We had 147 teams cooking competitively between Saturday and Sunday in barbecue. That's a lot. And it went very well. We got a little bit of rain on us, unfortunately, a little bit of rain. We got a lot of rain on us by Sunday night, but by that time it was a success. But any thoughts that anyone would like to pass on for us to tweak? And we're always looking for ideas to make that better. That's become such a positive event for this community, but there's always a way of doing something a little bit better. So any thoughts that you might have, the Lions Club would love to hear from you and pass that information on. And again, for those that did come out and support and had a good time with it, thank you very much, because there were a lot of people out there, especially on Saturday. Saturday was just crowded like heck. The other thing is, economic development normally meets on the first Wednesday of every month. It will not meet next week. We just don't have a lot on the agenda. There's no new applications to talk about, so that will be postponed. There is a cancellation notice that has already gone out, and but we are still doing the tour the following week, which is on Wednesday, June 10th. We're going to go to Cozart Effect Studios. So that'll be at 9 o'clock. So anyone who would like to join us, they can meet us here, and we'll go over, they can meet us at the business location and get a tour of that business. People's Resource Center had a very successful ribbon cutting on May 15th. And there is one new place that is open, Standard Tacos and Margaritas, right outside the Standard Market is now doing authentic tacos, like a Mexican street snack. So if you get a chance, go over there, you'll enjoy it. They're open 11 to 9. And the last thing that I have, Mayor, is just, again, this is kind of a melancholy thing. One of the trustees for the Downers Grove Township has announced his retirement. Many people in this room know Bill Swanston. Bill served 30 years on the township. He has been a member of the Westmont Lions Club for close to 40. Years and years ago, when this town still had a treasurer, Bill served as treasurer for the Village of Westmont at one time. So he has given a lot of years in service back to this community and to Downers Grove Township, and he will be missed greatly. They're having a little open house for him. I think it's the end of next week at Papa Bizarro's. But I just wanted to mention to everyone, because he's given a lot of years, he's given us a lot of kids for the high school too, and grandkids. But but a good man and a great citizen of this community. So
And a good represented Westmont, so.
always.
That's going to be June 4th, too. June 4th at
June-
Papa Pizarro's, 6
Papa
PM.
Bizarro's, yeah. So anybody who gets a chance, if you run into Bill, tell him thank you for the years of service, because he deserves it. He's been a tremendous person for this community. And with that, that's all I have, sir.
So we'll move on to items to be removed from the consent agenda. Is there any board members that like any of the items removed? I'm seeing none. I'd ask Manager May to please read the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. On the consent agenda, actually the entire agenda, we've got a very healthy agenda, here tonight, and that includes the consent agenda. So first on the consent agenda, our village board minutes. Board to consider approving the minutes of the village board meeting held May 14, 2015. Next is finance ordinance number 2, in the amount of $1,073,597.06. Then next is the April financial report. Board to consider a motion to accept the financial report submitted for the month of April 2015. And now purchase orders. First purchase order, DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau, $21,996.02, and it represents our annual membership dues for the Bureau. Next purchase order is DuPage Senior Citizens Council in the amount of $24,000, also our annual support for senior services, and this will be for this fiscal year. Next purchase order, J. Congdon Sewer for $80,255. This represents the water main extension work up on West Ogden Avenue, and 100% of that expense is recaptured by the, with respect to the corresponding development. Next purchase order is Nettle Creek Nursery. This is in regards to the St. Joseph Creek restoration project that was mentioned. The amount of that purchase order, this is an open purchase order to cover the contract amount for construction, $338,470. Next purchase order is also an open purchase order for Safe Step, $15,000, and this is to do sidewalk maintenance in the form of sidewalk cutting, a way to get rid of certain trip hazards without having to do full removal and replacement of concrete sidewalk. Next purchase order is Clark Environmental, $79,520. That is for the mosquito abatement or the mosquito, abatement services. And it's for the annual contract, and you'll also see in the finance ordinance that their first payment is also due now. So the first payment, which was roughly $20,000, is being released tonight. Otherwise, it's an open purchase order. Next purchase order, SHI International Corp., $42,188. That has to do with both the equipment and software for the Unified Threat Management System, which includes the firewall replacement, and this also includes the 3-year subscription for that service as well. Last purchase order, Village of Downers Grove, $566,004, and this represents it's for services for the annual dispatch cost. That is the annual amount. We also have a first payment on the finance ordinance. So the total of purchase orders comes to $1,167,433.02, which brings the total of purchase orders and finance ordinance number 2 to $1 million. Well, that can't be, that's a smaller number. So whatever those two numbers are added together, that's what. Unless the numbers are reversed, it's very possible that those are in the wrong place. Next on the consent agenda is, I'm going to skip to a community event. Angel Haven Foundation benefit sale, not at the last meeting, but the meeting before that, during open forum. The request came in for Angel Haven Foundation as a nonprofit corporation with regards to their annual fundraising yard sale. They're asking for approval of a 4-day yard sale at 213 East 55th Street. That's the 4 days being June 25th through June 28th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. The request also includes a waiver of the tent permit fee for this yard sale, a waiver of the fees for a loan-a-truck program, waiver of the fees for a garage sale permit, and waiver of the fees for a temporary banner sign permit. The event is located at West Hills Community Church at that address, 213 East 55th Street. Money raised support the Angel Haven Foundation. This has been an annual event for the last several years, and which has always been approved, and it's the same scope that you've seen before. Backing up to the final item on the consent agenda is a proclamation for the 2015 TICO celebration. Board to approve a proclamation declaring May 9th, 2015 as Taipei Economic Cultural Office Celebration Day. And I have the resolution, the proclamation here, if I can read through it. Whereas the Village of Westmont is proud to have the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office, or TICO Center, and the Chicago Taiwanese Cuisine and Culture Association as part of our community, we honor the activities and celebrations of the Taiwanese culture, including the Children's Fun Fest. And whereas our understanding of the Taiwanese heritage has greatly been enhanced through working with staff and volunteers of the TICO Center, and whereas the population of Chinese Taiwanese citizens in the greater Chicago area is over 110,000 people, and whereas the residents of Westmont and the surrounding communities are greatly enhanced by our relationships with Taiwan citizens in the Midwest and in the Republic of China, or Taiwan. Now, therefore, Mayor Ronald J. Gunter, by virtue of the authority vested in him as mayor of the Village of Westmont, does hereby proclaim to all citizens that May 2015 shall be Honor Our Taiwanese Residents and Friends in Westmont Month, past the state. And we have visitors from...
Yes, if they'd like to, if Economic Development Director Larry Forsberg, if you'd like to come up and introduce our guest.
May Lee.
We do have a couple guests and members of the Cushing program there with us. I would like to introduce Roy.
On support.
Their Executive Director, please come up. And May Lee, would you please come up? And would you like to introduce some of your students that you have with us this evening?
Everyone come here. Good evening. I'm very happy to be here to present our Taiwanese. And just like I told the reporter before, when 40 years ago I immigrated to United States, everyone asking, where you from? I said Taiwan. No one knows where's the Taiwan. They always say Thailand. And I have to say Taiwan. And secondly, are you Chinese? And I say, I'm Taiwanese. So since I love American, right now I'm in American, and I also love my homeland Taiwan. So after I retire, then most of the time, I kind of teaching cooking at cultural center, and also do some fundraising for charity. And right now it's third year. We fundraising money for Westmont 3 high school. And I also promise we're going to do test of Westmont, get more money to have more people to get a scholarship. And I'm very appreciate all my students. They have the same idea with me, so we work very hard and to have a succeed result. This year, we still have $3,000 to donate to Westmont.
Yes. And again, if you'd like to, anybody else like to say anything? I do have to tell you, you've become a big part of our community. You've given back a lot to our community. We're able to learn a lot about your culture. And your facility on 63rd Street is a tremendous facility that we've utilized, and you made it available for different community events and activities. So again, we thank you. And again, I will come out there now and present the proclamation to you. Thank you.
I'd just like to finish a thought that Mei Lee had mentioned. In terms of the donation that they have made, this is the third year that they've had the Family Fun Fair at the Taiwanese Cultural Center. And in those 3 years, they've raised $8,000, of which have gone to scholarships to Westmont students going on to college. So I want to say thank you for all their hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. That's nice.
Very nice.
Does that conclude your?
I have one finishing thought. The total of purchase orders and finance ordinance number 2, after my math has been corrected, is $2,241,030.08.
Thank you.
Right.
And that's the value of having the finance director.
I'll have him read the finance ordinance.
So that's the, there you go. Do I have a motion to present as read?
Motion to approve Addington.
Yes.
Second, you're on.
Motion made and second to approve as read. On the question, anybody in the audience? Anybody board? Yes.
The DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau, how are our dues figured?
They're based on a percentage of the amount we receive in hotel motel taxes. So we currently have a 5% tax on hotel motel, and they charge 1/20th of 1%. So comes out to be a 20th of a 20th of our revenue.
Okay, thank you.
So there is some rhyme or reason to it, right, Spencer?
Yes.
And that's why you're sitting up here. So, any other questions?
2 reasons.
Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Passes. We'll move on to unfinished business. 2931 North Cass Development Permit Extension. Board to consider an ordinance approving a request from Dr. Amir Alasani to extend the required date of the opening for a frozen yogurt shop in a B1 limited business district. And I'd ask Community Development Director Ziegler.
Thank you, Mayor. Dr. Al-Husani is here tonight. He was approved back in October for a special use to operate a ground floor medical clinic and development permits for a medical clinic in the back and a frozen yogurt shop in the front. The yogurt shop was required to be open by April 2nd, 2015. The applicant has been working diligently on interior building permits, but contractor delays have resulted in a slower than expected opening date. Dr. Al-Husani now expects to be open before July of 2015 and is requesting an approval for this extension. He's here tonight and actually came straight from the shop to request the extension, and then I'm going to show a couple pictures of his progress. As you may have noticed, he got his awning permits to show that he's actively working on getting it open, and then here's some interior pictures that he sent me to show the progress that's been made. So,
and the ordinance puts the extension to August 3rd, if that's okay with the board. I know the write-up said July and didn't have a firm date, so I went to the first Monday in August, but if you want something earlier, let me know.
And are you also remodeling the lower level too at the same time?
No, we're not.
Not at all? Okay.
We good evening. We had to do some modification due to the plumbing code. It was more than what we anticipated. We had to bring the whole building into code as far as electric and plumbing. So some delays from the initial architect took place, which led to delays in getting the permit, which we got in February. So everything that we've done so far is about 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
That took. So that's. But the basement we're not touching. We don't have a permit for it.
Okay.
But
Just
Good
curious.
answer.
Yeah.
we would love to work on it, but I think we have to get approval first.
Okay.
But that's
I almost caught him. No.
You guys got all the right answers.
Do I have a motion to approve the extension?
Motion by Addington to approve.
Second, Little?
Motion made second. On the question. Anybody in the audience? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Your extension has been approved.
all right. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. B, intergovernmental agreement with the Westmont Public Library. Board to consider an ordinance approving a revised intergovernmental agreement with the Westmont Public Library to jointly purchase and operate 2 electronic message board signs. And I'm going to turn this over to Village Manager May or the Attorney Zemanek.
Well, I'll just quickly say this is an agreement that you've already approved. When it went through the village board, it was next given to the library district to execute, and they were right at the time that they were turning over library trustees. So they had new swearing in. They had some questions about the language in there. I let John agree, but there was just small language changes that affected the agreement and requires your reapproval tonight.
They had one newly elected trustee who questioned the indemnification language. He had one good point that I conferred with the library attorney, and we both agreed should be changed. 2 other points that weren't changed, and I think the language was highlighted in the agreement provided in the agenda packet, and that was the only item that was changed. But we felt it was enough of a change where we should bring it back to you and have you vote on the revised agreement.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve Barker.
Second Guzzo?
Motion made and second. On the question.
Do we have an ETA when these are going to be installed, just out of curiosity?
Well, this is the intergovernmental agreement that, allows us to enter into this relationship. They still have to be designed.
They're going to go out to
Give a
bid.
timeline?
Okay, just, oh, that would be nice. I think it's going to be a really nice addition, both at the fire department and at the library, so anxious to see those
That was
getting going.
part of the reason for the agreement is one's being installed on the library property, but both signs are gonna, operate in tandem, and then, so that we both utilize both locations.
I think it's great.
I think this has been discussed for years, and I think we all got, we were very much relying on the old Bank of Westmont community sign for years, and then when they no longer were operating, we've always talked about this, and I think finally we're going to actually put it into use, so. All right. Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Barker,
Yes.
trustee Guzzo,
Yes.
trustee Nero,
Yes.
trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Good. We'll move on to new business. A, 20-24 South Cass, the hair salon. Board to consider an ordinance approving the following request from Atia Carter, a Lavez Hair Salon, to allow the operation of a hair salon on the ground floor in a B1 Limited Business District. 1, special use permit. 2, a zoning code variance to reduce the number of required off-street parking stalls and a waiver from the cash in lieu payment for B1 parking spaces. And 3, a development permit. Community Director Ziegler.
Thank you, Mayor. The applicant requests a special use to operate a hair salon in a small tenant space in the B1 TIF. The small size would likely not be viable for retail and was previously used as a salon. This will occupy vacancies and customers may patronize other local retailers. While the applicant technically needs a parking variance, a private rear parking lot is typically not full during the day, and staff supports the request. Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Barry.
Second, Nero.
Motion made and second on the question. Anybody in the audience have a
Are
question?
we going to have an opportunity to meet our petitioners?
Yeah, are they here? We always,
Somebody
yeah.
stand up and introduce them. What the heck? They're coming to
Take the
town.
opportunity to introduce yourself.
You say take advantage of this free commercial.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Atia Carter. I'm currently a hairstylist in the Westmont area. I have been for the past 8 years. And I'm looking forward to taking advantage of the opportunity of becoming a business owner.
Good luck. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any additional questions? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
We look forward to you opening.
Thank you so much.
B, 700 East Ogden Driver Education. Board to consider an ordinance approving a special use permit request from Brian Kearney of Kearney Educational Services to allow the operation of a driver education facility in the B2 General Business District. Community Development Director Ziegler.
Thank you, Mayor. The applicant requests to operate a classroom in an existing office building with 1 employee, typically during non-traditional office hours. The site has a private parking lot with sufficient availability. The Planning and Zoning Commission asked questions about building security, confirmed the business would be classroom-only training, and made a positive recommendation for approval. Mr. Kearney is here today, too, if he'd like to make any comments.
Sure. How you doing? Thank you for having me. Yeah, I would like to open up a driver's education business off Ogden Avenue. It's literally in the corner of 83 and Ogden Avenue, so I'd be, serving the Westmont community as well as Clareton Hills, Hinsdale, Oak Brook, and Downers Grove. There was actually, I found out recently, there was a facility there from 1996 to 2007, and then unfortunately the owner died and they didn't go through it. So it has been a successful business and a successful location before, and I just hope to, follow that tradition.
Do I have a motion to approve the ordinance?
Motion to approve, Barry.
Second, Nero.
On the question.
I think I recall from planning and zoning, you have experience as a driver's education instructor.
Yes, I have 10 years' experience, both private and the high school level. I have a bachelor's degree in education. I have a master's degree in administration leadership, so I could technically be like a principal or in administration there. I'm passionate about driver's ed, think safety first, I like it. You get more of experience than just being a teacher. You get that one-on-one experience with the kid, and you actually learn. You meet the family, you get used to talking to the family a lot, and it's more of a one-on-one personal thing than just having 40 kids in in one classroom. So.
Any other questions? In the audience? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
And we look forward to you opening your business, too.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good luck.
Thanks.
New business C, Class B tobacco license increase. Board to consider an ordinance increasing the number of Class B tobacco license by 1 to accommodate a request from the Green Meadows Golf Course located at 201 63rd Street. And Deputy Liquor Commissioner Gunther.
Thank you, Mayor. We received a request from Tom Shepard, who is the food and beverage coordinator for the golf course, wanting to sell cigars at the request of some of the golfers that frequent the location, and they need a Class B tobacco license in order to do that. We have two classifications for tobacco licenses, a Class A, which is for grocery stores over 5,000 square feet and gas stations, and then a Class B, which this is categorized as anything other than a Class A. So we're looking to increase the number of Class Bs by 1 to accommodate the request.
And that's cigarettes or?
The request was for cigars, but the license would technically allow them to sell cigarettes as well.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second, Addington.
Motion been made, second on the question.
This course is still owned by the county?
It is a County Forest Preserve District.
And what does this bring our tobacco licenses to, with the additional?
For a total, we currently have 35 that are allowed by ordinance. We have 15 Class As and 20 Class Bs.
And again, this is all abiding by the indoor smoke policies and so many feet outside the building, so.
They have to have a designated smoking area.
It's probably,
Just the golf course.
the first tee to the
To the last
green, yeah.
I'm just wondering, it might be good for a few people who want to buy cigars, but if they have a patio and people are there, they may not want to be around a bunch of
The
cigars.
same restrictions from doors apply.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have to abide by the state and our restrictions. Okay. Any additional questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
All right. Motion approved. We'll go to new business D, Taco Grill Salsa Bar Class 3 liquor license request. Board to consider an ordinance increasing the number of Class 3 liquor license by 1 and decreasing the number of Class 4 license by 1 to accommodate a request from the Taco Grill Salsa Bar located at 111 West Ogden Avenue. And again, Deputy Liquor Commissioner Gunther.
Thank you, Mayor. With us, we have Mr. Jose Oliver, who's the owner of the Taco Grill Salsa Bar, and he's requesting the Class 3 liquor license, which is by classification 1 for all liquor. He currently possesses a Class 4, which is beer and wine only. He's looking to add the all liquor designation to allow for the sale of margaritas, who apparently now will be competing with Standard Market as of tonight. So he is here with this request. We have no issues with this request. The fees for a Class 3 and a Class 4 are the same, so there's no either increase or decrease in fees. I talked to Attorney Perez about an issue of one of the sections of the liquor code which laid out potentially charging additional money, but according to Attorney Perez, it's not applicable in this situation, so there are no additional fees. It's simply the mayor signing the license once it's approved.
The ordinance does provide for a waiver of the initial license fees, just in case, because I know that's how it was written up. I wasn't aware if that's what you talked about with.
We talked about subsection G under this, in the.
Oh, the prorating of fees?
Yeah, under proration under 1037 license fees, G. And that was the question that we had, but she said it was no problem.
And again, you recommend it as?
Yes.
Deputy. Trustee Addington.
How many seats does he have inside?
Mr. Oliver.
Hello. We have 38 seats, but we have on the outside and the patio 45.
And what are your hours of operation?
We open at 11 o'clock, actually 10:30 in the morning, and we close at 2 o'clock in the morning, and on Fridays and Saturdays, the rest of the days at midnight.
So then obviously, Jim, that liquor can only be served during our liquor license hours, right? And
Correct, yeah. So
Weekday
there's no-
would not go until 2 in the morning?
Right.
Well, I'm not sure what the hours are for liquor at this point.
Well, we'll have to talk about that.
Who's our
I
deputy
mean,
liquor commissioner?
because I was told when I got the liquor license 14 years ago, that I had to stop selling beer at 1:30 in the morning. I don't know if it's still the same.
A little earlier than that.
Oh, okay, well, that's
Your
not a-
ticket will be waiting for you.
We never do compliance checks that late at night.
Great, thanks.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second, Little?
Motion been made and seconded to approve as presented. Any additional questions?
Yeah.
Trustee Barker?
Is this something that's limited to margaritas? I understand the license can be whatever.
Going to be tequila shots?
Well, I don't know if it is limited or not. We are not planning to do anything but margaritas. Right now, we serving beer and wine, and we want to add margaritas. First of all, our location is too small. We can't really have like shots and,
Well, the question
more like
really
a
is
bar.
to
It would
grow
be-
into anything, right?
So the Class 3 is restricted, is a service bar only, so there's no actual bar that you can walk up to and hop on a stool. The license classification does not prohibit doing shots. I mean, it just says all liquor. It doesn't designate quantity or in the manner in which it's served. So technically, by the ordinance, they could serve shots. It is possible, but that wasn't part of the request.
Right, okay.
Any additional questions?
I just think that we really need to educate the Oliver here on what the hours are for your own protection.
As soon as we hit the hallway.
Okay, all right, that would be the main thing, but good luck with it.
Anybody in the audience? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Little? Yes. Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
It's been approved, so you and Jim can go in the hallway and discuss. New business E, 328 South Wilmette, Verizon Wireless. The board to consider an ordinance approving a zoning code variance from Verizon Wireless to permit more than 3 antennas on a structure in the R3 residential district. And we have Community Development Director Ziegler.
Thank you, Mayor. The ordinance currently requires that when you have more than 3 antennas on a structure, that we require a variance to approve additional ones. We're actually going to be presenting a text amendment next month to ask that this be waived so that we can administratively approve them as long as there are structural calculations saying that the tower can support them. So in this instance, it's a very straightforward request. They're asking for 6 additional antennas on the water tower, and we have the engineering structural calculations to show that it's adequate. And next up on the agenda is a license agreement between us and Verizon Wireless to approve this. So if you have any other questions, I'm available.
Do I have a motion to approve the ordinance?
So move Guzzo?
Second, Nero.
On the question.
How many antennas are up there?
There are currently 36, and then with the total, it will be up
On there,
to
yeah,
42.
okay. Sorry.
No worries.
Any additional?
They're paying us a fee.
Yes.
Anybody in the audience? Oh, that's the next one. So roll call, please.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
And we'll move on to the new business F, the license agreement with Verizon Wireless. The board to consider an ordinance approving a site license agreement with Verizon Wireless. Attorney Zemanek.
Thank you, Mayor. So we've negotiated and reached an agreement with Verizon Wireless. Since this is public property, we, instead of leasing it, The permission is granted by way of a license. There are license fees. The license starts with payment of $42,500 for the first year of this agreement, increases in 3% increments every year thereafter. The license agreement was part of the agenda packet and mirrors the license agreement signed with the other carriers on this water tower. I did have a call today with their representatives. They did have a few minor tweaks to the non-essential provisions of the agreement, so I would like the ordinance to give authorization to the mayor and the attorney to approve these minor tweaks. One had to do with an insurance provision. One had to do with a dispute over late fees, but they have an auto pay, so they expect never to be late in their payments. I forget what the other one was, but it was a minor thing. So other than that, all the terms were agreed to.
I need a motion to approve the ordinance for the site license agreement with permission for myself and the attorney to make some minor adjustments in it.
Motion to approve with the amendment.
Second. Nero.
Second, you're on the question. Anybody in the audience? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Motion passed. We'll move on to G, Clark Environmental Mosquito Management Contract. The board to consider an ordinance approving a contract with Clark Environmental Mosquito Management for services through 2017. Manager May.
Mayor, this is our reoccurring contract with Clark Environmental. We, every time we renew it, it is in 3-year increments. The contract is for, to address mosquito abatement and management in Westmont. Clark, their system, and it's a more environmentally friendly chemical, if you will, that's called Earthright that they're using, and they made presentation, and this was, went through the Environmental Improvement Commission, and they're recommending approval of this contract.
Do I have a motion?
Motion by Addington to approve.
Second by Little.
Motion made in second to approve as presented, and the question.
Steve, is this tied into our county obligation then with the mosquito, or is that separate?
The county, there's no obligation, but there is, we're working simultaneously. It's both, it's a great question, because this started out as a mayors and managers initiative, and communities got together, and it wasn't so much a one contract that was countywide. It was more that our methods and our systems, we were kind of doing similar practices, because if one community is very aggressive and another community sits out, the mosquitoes don't know the, municipal boundaries. So that's when we, got in this area. And then you have other communities that, well, I mean, it's realistic.
Got a point.
And you have other communities, very large, one example, City of Naperville, they do a majority of their own control with their own staff and their own department, so they are not interested in these bigger contracts. And then I know DuPage County itself is now talking about one countywide contract that we all participate in. So we are working with them and looking at that, but it's something that's in development, and it's one of those opportunities for coalition and intergovernmental work that is being attacked right now.
Steve, I just have a quick question. If that does happen, can we cancel before the end of 2017?
Well, it would, part of putting this together, I don't know what the provisions are for, canceling or what the penalty might be. They're very cooperative. I don't expect any obstacle, because we pay as they use the services. And similarly, they would probably be involved in this bigger program anyway, so we would, adapt with that. And like other situations where we've looked into this, what it might come down to is 3 years from now, like we'll all pick the same, 2020 target and say we're all going to have our contracts end at that time and move into this new system. So
Cool.
I don't know what the date would be, but something like
If
that.
it happened, yeah, no, cool.
Steve, do you know if this fee, what kind of application is that? Is that monthly, weekly, as needed? Or?
There's there are two different, there's more than two, but there's two basic different types of treatment. One is the where they're larvicide, where you're actually adding things to catch basins and water bodies and those types of activities, and then the spraying is the adulticide, and it's a whole different treatment. It's after they're already airborne. So the trick is to catch them before they even hatch, actually. So those certain things are done with a regular routine. Other things are based on trap counts. There are, I think, 4 traps in the village of Westmont that measure the activity. That's also how they track any West Nile or any encephalitis, activity in the town too. So if they get a trap, and for example, there's a West Nile contact, and then you're immediately spraying for something like that. And then we have scheduled sprayings that are based around special events. Mm-hmm. So Independence Day, we'll get a appointed treatment for that.
Okay, thank you.
Looking for a motion to approve the contract.
Did that, didn't we?
We did that.
We have the motion.
Oh, we have it. Roll call then.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
No.
And Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll move on to the strategic plan agreement. Board to consider an ordinance authorizing an agreement for professional services with Lynn Monte and Associates for the design, facilitation, and preparation of a village strategic plan. And I'll ask either Manager May or Finance Director Parker to handle this one.
Well, the strategic planning process, except for 2 of you, the rest of you will recognize it from the budget process. We actually had it in the budget for last year, and by the time we got into planning for it and the amount of time it was going to take, it became clear that it was of greater benefit to wait until the newborn was sworn in and start the strategic plan now, so that we have a plan and we have good access to it for when we get into the next budget process. So a strategic plan will it's been more than 10 years since we've done one, and even when that one was done, it was kind of a limited scope strategic plan. This will be engaging, not only the village board and staff in a process, but there's going to be a large amount of community engagement and stakeholders from around the entire community. So starting now, awarding this contract tonight, we'll get started immediately. We're already talking about assembling what would be a guidance team, and this process will start right away and will be going on all the way through November. And part of it, because of the scope of the plan and the amount of engagement and coordinating that and getting dates and then the difficulties that come with summer schedules and everything too, is part of the reason with it. So we, myself, and the finance director and the human resources director interviewed different consultants that perform strategic plans and versions of that, and reviewed their methodologies, and this is our selection and recommendation.
Has she given us a figure, or what did you budget for this process?
Is that a money question? I'll defer to...
Defer the money question over here, all right.
Yes, so it's right about $25,000.
And that's what we budgeted for. And
Yep.
I had an opportunity to sit down on one of them, and I think this is something that we really need.
She
And
was
staff-
executive director of the DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference when I was
Yeah,
president.
she did mention that she knew you.
It didn't deter
Grudgingly,
her.
or?
I don't know.
Just leave it at that.
That's when the price went up, so. So, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Barry.
Second, Addington.
Motion been made and second on the question. Additional questions? Trustee Little.
I have a question. When you talk about strategic plan, is this the branding and everything else, or is this part of, I'm not familiar with this.
Excellent question.
That's-
So I talked about that we were considering the strategic plan 6-9 months ago as well, and the branding process that went on would be considered a component of the strategic plan. And although we haven't brought this consultant on, as part of our interview process, we let her, we had already scheduled, and we had a very, successful meeting and a good turnout. And those results and that information will be combined together, and in fact, the participants that voluntarily chose to participate in a branding or a rebranding exercise are going to be excellent candidates and stakeholders to participate in the strategic planning process as well. So we're pushing those two together and attack them at the same time.
I'm not really clear on what it is they're planning. When you say strategic planning, are you looking at the entire village for 5, 10, 20 years out? Or are you looking at?
It is. There's some things, there'll be short-term goals and long-term goals. If, we want to do this with routine every 5 years, you can always update it, but it's to, encapsulate the, not just the, the vision of the village board for the community-wide, progress, but, also getting that feedback from the public of what their interests are and what they're looking for. And then we'll have a plan to model all of our budgets and our every direction we take from now on should fit in the, or at least not conflict with the plan, make movements towards fulfilling that. And it can be updated perpetually, however often we want to revisit it, but every 4 years would be, a good time to take a look.
Okay.
And then how does this vary from your comp plan, and how do we justify it to the taxpayers?
Well, this is a plan for everything. It's the entire operation of the municipality, and a comprehensive plan, we pretty much have it as a, there's a comp plan that, addresses zoning issues, or we've got a comprehensive, it's just the public improvements, and that's all part of, those would be driven from the comprehensive plan as well. But it's just all aspects of what we do, all brought together in a master plan.
Like,
And then our budget is our annual plan,
Yeah,
if you will.
they both supplement each other, really. I always thought of it, when I learned about it, is you can't have one without the other. If you're going to do one, you should do the other. And I don't know if you agree or not, but the idea is the comprehensive plan is more the land use, like you said, the zoning, what do we think going to go here and here? Strategic planning is more getting involved with the littler things, getting more involvement from the community members, more involvement from not just us, but people coming in on little details and things. Is that right, Steve? Am I
Yeah.
remembering that right?
And, what's important and, values and all of that, it's just all summed up into one exercise.
It's not so much like a pharmacy would be good here, it's more.
No.
It's, right, okay.
It's, like, the creation of a TIF district might, it occurred, on the fly, we were doing it, but this would be, like areas and just how we want to approach things and where we want to grow and where do we want to make repairs, where do we want to reorganize, and, internally and externally. Yeah, Spencer, do you have any other?
Yeah, well, it's often kind of talked about as one of the, kind of the ideals in budgeting is to try to have a strategic plan, and then you follow the strategic plan. You try to put the money where your priorities are. So one of the things that has come up, from comments from different trustees and throughout the community have been people kind of saying, sometimes with the budget, we end up saying, let's just make some of the decisions right now, as opposed to looking strategically. I know there were comments made sort of, what are our big term priorities? And the strategic plan is really a way to get at that, as opposed to getting caught in the minutia of individual day-to-day decisions. So at board meetings, we look at lots of individual decisions one at a time. At the budget, we're focused on a single year. A strategic plan is a great way to say, let's look at the community as a whole. What do we want to become? What do we want to be in all different aspects, and talk about them all at once. As you're well aware, every time we talk about an individual thing, it's important, it's a good idea. But one of the great things about a strategic plan is you're able to look at everything kind of as a whole, to be able to say, who are we as Westmont? What do we want to become? What do we want to do? What are some major areas in which we want to focus? And then within those areas that we determine that we want to focus on, then the next step is to go say, okay, what are specific goals we can do within these areas to move forward and to progress in the way that we as a community want to progress? And then we can come up with action plans, and at budget time, we fund those. As we have the board meetings, we look at moving towards those areas on the strategic plan. It really gives a lot of cohesive vision and kind of brings the community together. And this is a great time to do it, as we've got a new board coming in. We've got some new leadership within the village. It's a great time to kind of say, where do we want to go moving forward? And it's the perfect time to do it right now.
And I think staff's totally behind it. They think it'll help them as well as help the board make some decisions.
Yeah, and I regret Kathy's not here tonight because she had a lot of involvement in the process and the selection as well.
Will there be a committee or commission put together to talk to the people and utilize our ideas and put it all together?
Yeah, so, okay, so the, sort of the process that she outlined is, first of all, do a village board orientation. So she'll be coming out to talk with the village board and kind of provide a good overview of what the entire process will be like. But kind of a very brief summary of it, we're going to be starting off with what's called a guidance team, which would be getting a couple of different people from different stakeholder groups to sort of facilitate the process, identify additional stakeholder groups, identify people to come to the different presentations. There'll be a series of a couple different meetings. Let me pull up the, like, don't have access to that, but so there'll be a series of different meetings, be working with staff, working with other stakeholders groups, and then kind of the big culmination is putting together a group with lots of different stakeholders from throughout the community. So we'd reach out to different businesses, make sure businesses attend, make sure residents attend, and kind of have a big community-wide meeting where they'll set them up into individual tables. And what she said is really interesting to see is as you get different people, the same, sorry, so it's each table has a group represented from lots of different areas, and as you get all these tables talking amongst themselves, she says it's very interesting to kind of see the consensus that comes. You'll have a lot of the tables with representatives of all the different areas that come up with very similar ideas and very similar direction for the village, and that's a major piece of it. And then she'll be coming back to the guidance team for additional discussion, and again coming back to the village board to talk with you about it before we actually end up adopting it. But that's sort of an overview of the process. It's a series of meetings kind of culminating in that big meeting with everybody there.
Okay, thank you.
Additional questions? Anybody in the audience? Seeing none, roll call, please. Oh, yes, come on up. I didn't see your, you come to the podium, state your name. Yes.
I don't speak well in public.
No, that's all right. You waited this long, so you got to speak.
I'm Jennifer Canavy. I'm a resident. I live at 1850 or South 55th Place. I'm just. You mentioned after you vote her in, she'll come and tell you guys what she's going to do. Why isn't that done before we spend $25,000? Just curious. I mean, isn't that something that she should present to the board before it's voted on rather than
The
after?
idea of the strategic planning in the process was kind of at the board level, I guess, reviewed in concept, but because they are participants as well, they're not part of the interview team as far as selecting a consultant. So that was, my task to do, and we had other staff participate. So we narrowed down to that, her method and timeline, and then we have this proposal. So we're asking for that approval. As with anything, if we don't continue on with the process for any reason, they're only owed for the work done to that date. But I mean, it's a good point. There's a little bit of reliance on here. It's like they can't interview their own psychologist, I guess, if you want to put it that way. It's like we're bringing in a person that will us with the entire community, and they are going to be, the board is going to be participants of this exercise.
Another piece of that timing wise was the desire to get going on the process right away. So there's preparation work that they need to do, and they can begin working and pulling together data. And the quicker we can get that started, the quicker we can get the entire process done to be able to be done in time for budget. We didn't want to put the orientation presentation as part of this meeting because this meeting was already very full, already had a lot of agenda items that had been kind of pushed off from the prior meeting. Since the prior meeting was a swearing in, we kind of held a lot of the business items to this meeting. And so because of that, because we already had a long agenda for this one, the thought was a longer period of time for that further discussion about the entirety of the process. Kind of the 30 to 40-minute presentation was something we wanted to do on the next agenda, where we thought we'd have a little bit more time to be able to do it. So it really is a timing issue, but to get the contract approved so we can begin the process to get done more quickly, and that was a timing issue.
And, you know, you could look at it different ways, and the other thing was we trusted the staff to do that for us. And it was done 10 years ago, and all we're doing is kind of updating it and taking a good look at our community.
I mean, not just this, you know, process, and because it's with the village board and what it is. I mean, most all professional services are, you know, first vetted at a staff level.
Yeah.
Whether it's, you know, engineering contracts or any type of professional service.
Is this strategic plan for the businesses or the resident? I know you're saying it's for the community as a whole, and I understand that, but I guess on a larger level. But I don't know how to, anyway. It seems to me it's really more for the businesses in the community. It's a strategic plan for kind of where, I don't know, where to put things, how to
Zoning.
organize the town, basically.
So we recently did a comprehensive plan, which was exactly what you're describing. It was more of the land use and where do we want to put things, where do we want zones to be, where do we want to put different types of businesses, what should the town look like? And that's one piece of the so that was the main focus of the comprehensive plan. The strategic plan is much more all-encompassing, and so we'll definitely want the input of businesses for kind of the direction we want to go as a town, but we also definitely need the input of the residents, and I think it's going to be impacting everybody, you know, businesses, residents. We'll want to be talking with other intergovernmental agencies, so lots of different groups of people need to be represented at these stakeholder meetings. So this one's really, it's for everybody.
So again, just to summarize, I think the strategic plan basically gives us the vision where we're going to spend the money. You know, if we're going to prioritize those things, correct? We're going to prioritize if it's a new squad car or if it's a new, you know, street sweeper. We're going to look at that as a whole and prioritize where we're going with that. And the comp plan, again, is to your point where the land use is. So the same question I had to Steve is how does this vary with it?
Sure.
And,
But I think it's even bigger than that, because if it's done properly, for instance, supposing we decided that we needed another area that needs to be considered for a TIF.
Yeah.
That's going to be part of that strategic planning, because that creates, you know, new incentives, if you will, new opportunities, but also may take away from other places. That's really what strategic plan does. It gives us a chance to open our eyes and try to say, where will we be 5 or 10 years from now?
But from the viewpoint of
And it
all
has
aspects of the
nothing-
community.
Yeah, business is part of it, people are part of it, but also the taxes you're paying and how is this village run? And I think that,
Why doesn't the comprehensive plan do that?
because the comprehensive plan only says, this area is going to be residential, this area is going to be commercial, this area is going to be office research. That's your comprehensive plan.
So an example of a comprehensive plan. So Oswego recently did a strategic plan, and they kind of identified major areas, major priority areas. And so theirs were governance and municipal services, and they established some goals within there: prospering economy, community enrichment, environmental sensibility, a culture of partnership, and strategic infrastructure. And so those are the areas that they decided, these are the main areas we want to focus in, and then they established 3 or 4 goals in each area, and then kind of an action plan to achieve those goals within those areas. So it'd be something of that sort of, I guess, kind of that nature. Kind of the big picture, here's our main areas, and here's what we want to work towards.
You hear at the very beginning of the meeting? So there was concern about how code enforcement, whether it's building code or, property mains, but how this enforcement or approach is being done. And that would be like another type of thing. It's not necessarily that we're going to protect all those, but it's to extract all of that concern or interest out of everybody, who has a concern and, assemble it all, and then where do we want to take it? I hope that helps. I'm not.
I think it does. It just, I don't know. I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say or what there was a lot of talk about this survey that was done, and, we got 125 responses. But how many residents does Westmont have? And I didn't see the survey, and I go to every car show, and I'm at the library once a week with my kids, and, so I feel like a lot of people that would have been interested in this missed out on a lot of the kind of initial stuff. And, it may be my fault for being busy with 2 kids, but it is what it is. But there are a lot of people that are busy and would like to be more involved and who do things in the community, and I just,
I'll actually say this is an excellent opportunity, and you sound like a candidate to participate in it.
I was just going to say the same thing. If you have time, because she's a skeptic, she would be.
No,
it's not.
Perfect.
I'm not necessarily a skeptic.
No, but you're asking questions, and that's exactly what this kind of a program
You're
needs.
exactly right. The people on the street, and I hear this all the time.
And
is
we
this
have
gonna
the
be
car show
another?
starting next week, so I'm curious why this necessarily has to be approved tonight. We have car shows starting June 4th, and we could talk to people again about the branding and this is when the community comes out, Everyone was stuck in. Apparently it was in Neighbors in, I don't know, December or something?
These are all
I don't see
ongoing
anybody during the
conversations.
winter.
so.
I'm stuck in the house. I'm going to school. There's not a lot of community interaction during the winter for things like this.
Well, I think once we approve this is when we can get that ball rolling and start getting people involved and engaged, because we have the consultant ready to work. We got her timeline, what she's proposing to do, how it's going to all work out,
But
and
are
then
you
we can
sure
start
that
reaching
everyone
out.
wants you to approve this? I mean, I don't think anybody knows about this. This is what I'm saying.
Personally, I
and
think
this is
it's-
$25,000.
I think a strategic plan is well worth it, absolutely. It's in the best interest of the village, it's something we need. Ours is long overdue, and it goes, like I said earlier, in conjunction with their comprehensive plan. It is a must, absolutely worth it, 100%. Yes.
And ultimately, the voters who put us in here are relying on us. When you ask, is everyone for this? Well, they voted for Steve, so they're banking on Steve's decision on this. So that's where
I
it's no
understand
different
how
than
this
the mosquitoes. The mosquitoes is $80,000, and we don't hear any. There might be rooms full of people right now that didn't agree with that, but we have to rely on the board at some point.
Is it fair to say that this strategic plan will start as a wish list and put everybody's thoughts and ideas out in front of the community as a whole, and that the professional services company can facilitate getting us from step A to step B, because we're all so busy that one wish list may not ever be acted upon without somebody else pushing us in that direction and getting us to identify and look at everything as a whole, rather than my needs and his needs are all different. If this way we come together on an agreement that this kind of company can facilitate all of that. And that's what the 25,000 is for, as I understand it, that everybody's gonna come together with ideas, put it out there, capture it, and they're going to maneuver the paperwork so that it can happen, rather than it's sitting on my desk because I'm too busy, or your desk because you've got kids that are home that are sick, or, the church or something else comes up, that this will help get us beyond just thinking about it. Unless I missed the
Again,
boat.
we had a couple of thoughts. During our budget workshops, this was part of that. It was public meetings. It's on the agenda, and you saw that, so you're here this evening. So there's always opportunities in the past to question this strategic plan, and I think recommendation of staff and the board is something we need in the community, and hopefully you would be one of the people we look to participate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
And I personally am impressed that you're following as close as you are.
Yeah.
And to stay here until this part of the agenda is what we need
It's my
more
night
of.
off.
We need more of.
And the other thing is you did quite well in front of that microphone.
You did.
You did.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any additional questions?
It seems like it's going to be a good companion with the comprehensive plan. I have personally sat down and looked through the comprehensive plan, and when Main Street was first incepted, I remember sitting down with the Illinois Main Street Board then, and we worked on the strategic plan, and that was many, many years ago. And I feel like it is an important building block to kind of cohesively going in a direction that is going to make everyone happy, or we can see that there's changes going on, or puts us in the right direction of where we need to go and move forward.
What's going to help us make decisions for the residents in the future? Anybody else in the audience? Any other questions, board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Passes. We'll move on to I, Westmont Fire Department Purchase Agreement. Board to consider an ordinance authorizing an agreement to purchase one Pierce and Pell pumper from Global Emergency Products. Chief Wise.
Thank you, Mayor. Based on the recommendation of our Fire Department Engine Committee, the Fire Department is requesting that the village purchase one new Pierce and Pell pumper from Global Emergency Products at the total cost not to exceed $553,067 if 100% is prepaid. The sale price is $579,400, which includes a $40,000 discount through the HGAC buy program, which is a group buy program that's out there. If 100% prepayment is made at contract execution, an additional $26,333 deduction will be made, bringing the total cost of $553,067. The committee and the department recommends approval of this. This falls in line with our vehicle replacement program. Just some additional information on that. About a year or so ago, I brought forward at a public safety committee meeting that we felt that we could reduce some of our vehicles in our fleet, which I know Trustee Barry has asked all of us to look at. And we donated our reserve ladder truck, and that is gone now. We've always in the past bought two engines at the same time, but because of our auto aid agreements we have with surrounding towns, and just after having our ISO review, there is no further need to have 4 fire engines in the Westmont Fire Department. So we're reducing our engines down to 3. The 2 engines that are being replaced with this one will be 17 years old. Vehicle replacement plan calls for replacing them at 16 years. So we extended them out another year before we're replacing those. And the committee was members that are on these vehicles all the time and use these vehicles. They're the officers, the driver operators, the engineers, and the firefighters. They put an extensive amount of time into reviewing manufacturers. They had a total, I think, 8 manufacturers that came in, and they reduced it down to 2. 2 of them submitted bids, and the Global Emergency Products was the lowest bid.
And how long between the contract signing and the delivery?
10 months.
10 months?
10 months.
10 months.
So
The
we're looking at,
26,000 is 5% interest on that is probably equivalent to that. If you get 5%.
so we're looking at April of next year, you know, if we, and what's going to take is, you know, if it passed the contract tonight, and June 11th meeting is the approval of the purchase order, and then it'll take 30 days for the final drawings and engineering to be done, and then it probably won't start production till August 1st. And so we're looking at April or May of next year before receiving that vehicle.
Well, do I have a
Chief, how
motion?
much water will this hold?
Motion first.
Motion?
Motion to approve, Barry.
Second, Parker.
Well, we got discussion.
Motion been made, second.
Okay, right. Hit us.
Now on the question, Trustee Addington.
Yeah, how much water will this, how much of a tank will this thing have?
You know, same as we have now, 500 gallons.
3 gallons?
Yeah.
So Chief, then what are the other options if we don't 100% prepay? What, is there a 25% deposit, 50% deposit? And then second part of my question would be, what if something's wrong when we prepay 100%, what do we have to, leverage do we have to correct that?
Well, the contract went through legal, and in the contract, it says in there that there's actions that can be taken. If we don't 100% prepay, then the price goes from the $553 to the $579. And this company's been in business over 100 years. The last 4 engines we purchased is from this company. They're quality products. They're well-known in the area. Several departments around us have bought the Paris vehicles through Global before. When I talked to finance, they had no problem with the 100% prepay because of the history of the company and because of the product they produce. And they're a stand-up company. They've bent over backwards to repair or fix anything for us.
So again, there is really no other option as far as without the 100% prepay, what would?
There is other options. There's lease options. Those were in the part of the contract.
As far as buying this, would we put 25% down, or how would that work? What would the other option be?
As far as I can tell from the contract, looks like it's 100%, or you just wait until you get it, and then you don't have the 26,000. There is also another option that we could do if it would make the board more comfortable, which is a performance bond. And my understanding is if we do that, that costs an extra $1,700, but then they issue a bond with a third party that says they're guaranteeing that we'll get the engine or we'll get our money back. So that's another way we can do that to save the $26,000 by paying them in advance, but we can then also pay an extra $1,700 to have them issue a performance bond to kind of give us a little bit more surety and
I'd
safety.
be more comfortable with that.
I'd be a lot more comfortable because even with their history, we know in this economy that, if they go belly up, we all agreed to spend $500,000 of the taxpayers' money with no recourse at all. So it almost seems like good money spent to spend that $1,700. But John, to you, how do we change that now?
The contract just has an option, as I understand it, to prepay, so we're not bound by that. So you're just approving the purchase, and finance and the department can work out the details of whether it's the bond issue or financing this or whatever, something other than paying it up front.
We are going to prepay, we're just going to request that a bond's be taken out.
For 17. So my question is now, would I
amend the motion to specify that the payment shall be through the performance bond?
And that is in the current contract that they did send to us, so that is an option that we can do.
That's an option, that's not in this total? No.
Correct.
Okay, so that'd be $1,700 on top of this?
Yeah, but
the actual contract the contract that's being approved includes that as a possibility, right?
But I think for trustee Barry, he probably wants to specify that in your motion.
Well, right, guys? I mean, I think that's.
I'm with
you.
you.
It
Yeah.
protects us, it protects the village.
Do you want to amend your motion to include that?
Well, the other way it goes is it costs us an additional 20-some thousand if we say we wait to deliver. So if this is only going to cost us $1,700, we're saving that. We still get the discount, but yet we're protected in case something happens out of our control or their control.
And Spencer, do you have that bond amount with that total? Was it $554,007?
With
Do you have the
that in,
contract?
I have not, and I can.
Maybe trustee Barry may want to include that amount then, with including the bond, that new approved amount would be.
So again, you want to amend your motion?
So, motion to approve, amending, with the amendment to add the performance bond, approximately $1,700 cost.
Okay.
Barry?
Yeah. Who seconded?
Second, Nero.
Okay.
Yeah, let's vote on the amendment first, and then we'll vote on the original motion as amended.
One more question before we vote. Now you're eliminating 2 engines, you still have 2 online. This will be a 3rd one come April. How compatible are they to each other?
Well, the 2 that we have frontline right now are very compatible. They're the same rig.
Yeah.
But everything on it. The new one coming is going to have some new options that are on it, some improved options, mainly safety things for the firefighters.
Okay. But
so
as
that,
far as actual operation, they're going to be pretty.
yeah, it's same type of pumps operation.
Thank you, Chief.
Any additional questions? So we're going to ask for a roll call on the amendment.
On the amendment.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Now I'll ask for a roll call on the original motion that was made.
Trustee Barry.
You know, right? We should go no then, right? That kills it? Is that?
Pardon?
No. So you just voted on your amendment. Now we're going to vote on the original motion to approve the contract
so yes.
as amended.
It's confusing. It's confusing me, John. Dang it.
Thank you.
You vote yes, right?
Yes, that is.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Chief, you got the board's blessing.
Thank you very much.
And I am going to hold off on J, the video gaming license, to the last item, and I'm going to move up to Bradford Equities LLC from 150 West 63rd Street, and the board to consider an ordinance approving a permit fee waiver for Bradford Equities LLC for the Mariano's development. And I'll call on Manager May or Community Development Director Ziegler.
Well, I'll start. There's a lot here. Bradford is related to the Mariano's development. We already have a development agreement or an arrangement, or I don't know what it's titled, but regards the TIF district and our participation in that, which included, some of you are very familiar with this, but, we were the property owners. So all tied together, the development, the sale of the property, and the incentives that went with that to induce this development were all done and completed. We closed on the property. It is in their hands. And then through other investigation, subsurface investigation and further, work on soil borings and the conditions of the property, they were running into a problem area in one portion of the lot where it happens to be where the main driveway would be coming in. And now I'm speaking for them, but their construction methods are now complicated as far as dealing with this undesirable material, either excavating it, bridging it, or other creative solutions. So there are, where there's no obligation, had these circumstances been known before, they would want to have built it into the cumulative agreement that we've already done. So they first approached us with the request, and I'll say this started out as a $400,000 request. But we looked with them, what it was, what's the difference, the timing before and after, and the features on there. And a lot of it is based on the ability to stay on schedule and the opening. So it went from versions of, can we, add it to the lump sum, to the rebate that's owed, and when we're talking about modifying the original agreement, and then every version of a proposed solution had merits and had complications with it too. And then the original request is not out there now. And are you with Bradford?
Yes, we have a representative from Bradford.
And the recent request is to still point into the same problem area. Is they have their engineering fees, not the building permit fees, but just the engineering fees for the site work, a very large site work, was somewhere on the order of $80,000, $78,537. And as opposed to amending the original agreement, which was one version, another method is if we're interested in offering this relief, to waive the fees or discount the engineering fees down to $1, I suppose, to offset that. And John, maybe you want to, am I describing it right?
Yeah, the economic incentive agreement that we signed with Bradford provides that they have to pay all fees, whether it's liquor fees, building fees, permit fees, it's engineering fees, et cetera. And those payments they make would be used to discount the amount due under the note, which is a $3 million note that the village owes out of the tax increment that's generated over time on this property. By having this fee waiver of basically reducing it to $0 for the engineering fees, we don't have to amend the agreement because it's simply, it's not a payment they're going to have to make. It's not going to be a discount against the note. I don't know if I explained that very well, but.
I'm Chad Jones. I'm the CFO from Bradford Real Estate. By no means am I a soils expert in what Stephen was talking about here, but it's really a request for some relief here. We've had some cost overruns as we've gotten further into the due diligence. We did soil borings, due diligence during the whole process before we even bought the property. That's on us. That's our risk. Now that we've done further work out there, we've come across further soil problems. Not an issue, it's just structural problems, but there are added costs here. And we've always viewed the village based on the fact that you sold us the land, the $3 million rebate agreement. We've always seen you guys as a partner in this. You guys have been a great partner. This is just a request. We're still starting on Friday or Monday. We're still opening in the spring of next year. This is just a...
You beat me to that question, so.
Music to our ears. Yeah, Mariano still wants this to be one of the first openings in the spring of next year. So this is a timing constraint as well. We're trying to get going. This is the only access to the property that's right where the bad soils are. So we're trying to do the quickest solution possible.
Trustee Addington.
Can we somehow eventually recapture this through the money that's generated in the TIF?
Well, I mean, the TIF was certainly going to generate an increment, especially from this property, a large increment that the village can use for a whole variety of allowable purposes in the TIF district. So, you know, if the TIF district takes off, you're going to receive increment, you know, well over
that.
this $3 million.
So it becomes an
incentive
offset at some point if it, yeah.
Sooner
Yes.
they get done, yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be offset by the additional.
Yeah. And we want, I still say the minute they break ground, a lot of these other parcels around there, everything's gonna pop at one time, and economic development's gonna be very busy, which will make Larry very happy.
Yeah. And again, Larry's been instrumental in,
Yeah, amen.
and Jill, with continuing our discussions with our partner. So do I have a motion?
Motion by Addington to approve.
Second, Nero.
Motion been made and seconded to approve as presented on the question. Anybody in the audience? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
We're in partner still with you. Tomorrow or Monday,
We're
right?
still partners.
Yeah, it's been wet out there. I think it's
Yeah.
probably going to be Monday, but they
Monday.
were still, I was trying to get an
A1, huh?
answer for you on
Again,
whether
our
it would be
residents
tomorrow.
are saying, oh, when,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, no, it's any day now.
Oh, good.
So we'll
Thank
get
you.
started, and thank you. We'll see you all at the
ready.
grand opening.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll move back to new business J, the video gaming license. The board discussed potential restrictions for video gaming establishments. I kind of initiated this with staff and the Attorney Zemanek to look at some possibilities if we want to put some restrictions on, and I'll turn to either Manager Mayor or Attorney Zemanek to discuss it in a little greater detail.
I guess to describe it, we brought this topic up 2 meetings ago where we just, it wasn't formal, but we talked about a moratorium about processing any new requests. We still accepted any request, that would come in. But the concern was, just to generally describe it, the video gaming is permitted in the state of Illinois, and the only requirement for any vendor to get, there's a lot of requirements they have, but their video gambling permit comes from the state. And they can apply with the state, and the state just ensures that they have a liquor license. So any establishment with a liquor license can on their own go and apply for a license. And, we have a business license system where we can fee, each terminal, if you will, and there's things that we can do locally, but otherwise, there's no, as it is right now, there's no control on the quantity. The only control is the amount of liquor licenses we issue, but we also issue liquor licenses for, businesses that, just want to be able to do a margarita, and they don't necessarily have interest in video gaming. So there's, difficulty in tying the two relationships together unless they come in with a specific purpose of opening, a video gaming establishment and therefore apply for a new liquor license. So there's the outside businesses and the new businesses that are approaching us, and then there's the existing local businesses we already have that also want, some want access to this availability. So what we're looking for, and I'll turn to John for, ways to control this, but through our liquor license system or zoning, I guess, we can put restrictions in that would have, if we chose to, this is a discussion item for tonight, is where do we want to go? Do we want to do radiuses, from each other to, it's not necessarily to control the quantity village-wide, it is a little bit, but you also don't want, right now, as it stands, somebody can come in and buy 200 feet of building on Ogden Avenue and carve them up into 30 different individual units and, put in them all. That wasn't a suggestion for anybody.
But I know what you, well.
But I mean, we don't have control over that if that was attempted.
And Steve, let's use a very good example. It's basically the same owner, but you've got the folks who own Papa Pizzeros who are going right into the shopping center.
Right.
I mean, and they're basically competing with themselves, but they're on top of each other.
Right.
And so I think these are good points. The question is, should this get referred to public safety or someplace else, or should we continue the discussion here? We talked about this before, I remember, and I agree, I like restrictions, but the law doesn't let us do a heck of a lot here either, I think.
That's why we asked John, and first of all, I wanted to get a feel for if the board had concerns, because if no one does, then there's no need to discuss it. But if everybody feels we need to look into it. So we envisioned, I think when we met with staff, you could have a boardwalk of gaming together. You walk down, you go in this one, this one, this one. And I didn't think that was the intent. So I asked the attorney if there's any way we can kind of monitor and limit that. And there are some difficulties. So I'll then turn it over to John to discuss it.
Thanks. And that's primarily what I looked at, was the mayor's primary concern of these potential clustering of these establishments, whether it's in the central business district where you have a block taken up by what may appear at first, I just want a liquor license, to all of a sudden they all have gaming in them, and once they have their liquor license, you can't control that. So, as Steve mentioned, the Illinois Video Gaming Act really provides the state with the exclusive control to issue licenses. As long as they have a liquor license, and it also applies to fraternal order, or social clubs like fraternal order lodges and truck stops, which we don't have, and they pass this background check, they can get their state license and open up without any further approvals of the village. So the idea of putting a moratorium on video gaming within the town isn't something that's really within our power to do, because we don't issue the licenses. You could put a moratorium on liquor licenses, but that's really going to hurt a non-video gaming business that wants to come in and get a liquor license. So we kind of ruled that out as the option. And what we really looked at is how can you best, within the parameters of the law, prevent the clustering of these establishments, while still allowing them, when valid and spaced out, to locate within the village. And the act allows for the village to license the terminals, and we can charge $25 per terminal fee, which amounts to a license. And we actually have an ordinance on the books which licenses the terminals. So when someone wants to come into town for video gaming, they have to fill out a license application as part of their business license, pay a fee per terminal. With that power to license means the power to regulate. So what we discussed is putting as Steve mentioned, a distance limitation, whether it's 100 feet or 200 feet or 500 feet between video gaming establishments or between the terminals, so that there can't be clustering, but still allow for competition, still allow these to open in all areas of the town. And I recommend attacking this in a couple different ways if you wish to attack it. One would be through the licensing provision. Another would be through zoning, because you do have local control over zoning. That's a police power, that's something to protect the health, safety, and welfare of your residents. Gambling is something that is an issue that you have the right to control. And again, I think if we, in concert with the licensing ordinance, amend the zoning ordinance to say video gaming is allowed in these districts, which would basically be all business districts, and also impose that distance requirement, that gives you some added strength because some towns are imposing restrictions on video gaming, and some towns are getting sued based on what they're doing. I'll give you an example. One community is requiring that, I think it's 60% of the total sales of a video gaming business that has a liquor license has to come from food and beverage sales, not from video gaming. And that would prevent some of these establishments that serve cold sandwiches and chips, a few drinks, but most of their revenue is from video gaming. They're getting sued over restrictions like that. I want to, if we're going to consider a restriction, something that's going to pass legal muster. The state act says you have the right to license, so I think it's a reasonable restriction to extend that to a distance requirement. State gives you the power to control zoning, so I think that's reasonable. The state gives you power to control liquor sales and classes of liquor license. So I think you can build into the liquor license the same distance requirement for those establishments that have video gaming. By having kind of a three-pronged attack, if you do happen to get sued, I think at least one of those, personally, I think all three would stand up to scrutiny. Yeah.
And I do have to mention that we're not doing this because there's been any issues. And I look at our Deputy Liquor Commissioner and Deputy Chief Gunther. We haven't had one incident, and if you want to come up to the podium. So this isn't being done because there's problems. This is being done to maybe limit it so we don't have a whole community full of video gaming.
Correct. We don't have any problems from a police response. I can't think of one since it's been instituted, but I think more of the general philosophy of what our reputation of our town wants to be. We're one of the few towns in the area that allows it. And there are other communities close by that restrict or have no video gaming at all. So geographically, we have a lot of traffic. So I think it's more of the, what do we want our vision to be, and as opposed to, the public safety of police officers going in on a daily basis to handle a problem in any of the establishments.
And then Chief, I know, was giving us the figures, but how much in the first, has it been a year that we've been?
Getting close.
I just thought, if somebody's listening, they'd want to know what we've generated.
It's about 10 to 15.
Just recently, we have our first fiscal year of revenues. We far exceeded our estimates because with Spencer and I, we became very fiscal conservative, and we'd estimated low, but we're now up in the area of around $12,000 to $13,000 a month coming in, and we still have 3 more businesses coming into town. You have one coming at St. James Cross, and the 2 from Papa Paceros. And Spencer, I don't know if you have the
In
figures.
this past fiscal year, we generated $136,000.
That's our
revenue that we
That's the revenue to the village itself, based on 9 businesses. Not all have 5 terminals. Each business can have a maximum of 5 terminals. Some have 3, some have 5.
So there's 9 now, and we'd be up to 12?
Correct. 9 that we have right now, and the other 3 coming in will be up to 12.
But keep in mind with that anyone with a liquor license, China Chef, any one of those could go get it right now, right? Without really dealing with us, so.
Well, like, we just issued a liquor license for Taco Grill and Salsa.
He could go get it.
Go out tomorrow.
He had one already, so we just changed the license classification.
Yeah.
So with that other classification, he could still.
He would qualify, yes.
Standard market could get one.
It's not hard liquor, it's beer, wine.
Yeah.
I can
Most of them
actually go
just
back-
have, I don't think anybody has, it's all beer and wine right now, where well, some places have more.
Yeah, the businesses that came in, that are the new businesses, the Pennies, the Dotties, they all went with beer and wine because it was the cheapest license that they could get. All the established places that have them, DJs, Uptown, Potbelly, they have all liquor already.
And another key point, I think, is that anybody coming in has used closed storefronts. So they've taken over buildings that were vacant and they
And
provided a business in town, so.
I'm starting to,
And
I
I see
support the
problems with-
idea of restricting it because I'm starting to hear enough is enough.
Yeah.
You know?
And I really question how you're gonna do that, and we're gonna have Laura, if we go by distance, we have Laura who's gonna be non-conforming right off the bat.
Well, and that's one of the reasons we brought this up. We did not want to punish existing businesses. So anyone who doesn't meet that distance separation requirement at the time that is enacted is grandfathered, they're okay. You can't punish, an existing business. But if you have an existing liquor license and had some anticipation in a year or two of getting your video gaming license from the state, they would now have to look and say, okay, am I within the 100 feet or the 500 feet distance requirement of an existing establishment? If I am, I can't open, or I've got to come into the village board and ask for a waiver, and you'd have a chance to consider that on a case-by-case basis.
And the radius we can pick.
Yeah.
That's just an example.
And Jill's going to get to that, I think, in a minute. But two other quick comments. The distance requirement, there is well-established case law that says you can impose distance requirements on adult use businesses. You can impose distance requirements on liquor establishments. So I think to do this for video gaming is going to find ample support in the law. The other thing I wanted to do is take discretion away from the village board to have applicants come in front of you and you guys say, for example, let's say you had the ability to issue a supplemental or require a supplemental liquor license if you wanted to have video gaming. So in addition to your class 4, you'd also have to get a class 22 that allowed for video gaming. That kind of puts discretion in your hands to say yes to you, no to you, yes to you, no to you, which could be a problem.
But there's also, going to what the mayor is, there's also certain unique storefronts that are appealing that are located in between others and so forth, where I question what could go in those besides, that would have success.
Here's my take on it real quick. I think it's a good idea, Mayor, that we come up with some way to restrict these, but I don't really know if we need to do it. I think the market will do it itself. There's only so many gamblers out there. There's only so much money that's going to be in there. Yeah, we surpassed our conservative estimates, yes, but these aren't cheap machines. This is you got to have some investment to get them. I think it's like $5,000 a machine. I don't know how much the license is, but that's a considerable amount of money. At some point, we're going to, I think Bob Scott said it best, we're on it now on the upcline. As soon as it starts settling off, people, other communities are getting involved. How many are really going to take advantage of this? So are we really, are we doing a great thing? Yeah, but I think the market's just going to do it itself. Just let it be. Don't get me wrong, I think too many is a bad thing, but the market's not going to bear allowing everybody to have them because they can't afford it. They got to be able to make money if it's going to work. And they're not going to buy these machines if they're not making the money they're doing. And once everybody has them in town, it's just not going to work.
One comment, and you might be right, I'm not disagreeing with you. My concern is, let's say someone wants to open up an establishment, or several people want to open up an establishment either downtown or in some other location next to existing video gaming, and they come in for a liquor license. And they say, yeah, we're going to have video gaming. And you guys all look at it and say, boy, you're really close to these 3 other existing locations, and you want to open 2 more and deny it. And they're going to go to the State Liquor Commission, and they're probably going to win because you guys don't have any objective criteria for determining how to grant a liquor license when there's video gaming involved. You just say, we don't want more video gaming. So I'm concerned about your liability if it's left unregulated, if at some point you choose to deny someone.
But you question, I take like a place like Major, okay? What if Outback Steakhouse wanted to build there, and one of their things was they wanted those machines? That was one of their things they were banking on for revenue. Now we have Las Palmas 2 doors down, we say no. Now Outback leaves and doesn't come, and so there's concern there. I've heard that at St. James Crossing that, there's individuals that want that restaurant, and the main reason they want it is for those machines. So then all of a sudden, we could be losing potential development because we already have approved a Stella's there, or I believe that's Stella's that's coming there. And I had the opportunity in the last 2 weeks since this came up and I had 2 individuals that are very interested in coming to Westmont. One's an existing, one has in Westchester, and he wants to open another. So I talked to existing, I guess all of them are bar owners that have machines. One of them wants to expand and have another place, much like Laura. He feels that he's getting singled out, and she was allowed to do that, and he's not getting that opportunity now. The other, one individual is adamantly against having any more, who's a current machine holder. He thinks that we should stop right now, and he thinks that we should have never let these little casinos open up, okay? He thinks they should have kept it to existing liquor licenses and restaurants. Tracy at DJ's had no take on it either way. She said it didn't affect her if there was more or less. She felt her clientele was her clientele. So you're getting all these varying opinions just from the existing, and I don't think there's a really good way of going about regulating it. I agree with Steve that I think the free market system, weeds out the ones that don't survive. And
That's what we wanted to do tonight, is see if there's any need to move it to committee to explore it more. Go ahead.
I actually like the idea of the $25 licensing fee a year. I think it would be a good way for us to kind of keep a grip on it a little bit. We know that they're coming in for the liquor license, they're gonna maybe do these machines, but I think it's a good way for us to kind of keep a little bit of a pulse on it. Just because it's obviously something that's not going away, and it seems like everybody is interested in jumping on the bandwagon. And I think we need to do something, just because you can see where it's going. I mean, personally, I remember when we had the arcade at the south end of town, we licensed all those machines too. And it was a way to kind of keep a grip on it a little bit so it didn't get out of hand. And the last thing I want to do is see it get out of hand, personally.
And I think that, backing up a little bit to what kind of started the discussion, and talking, Jill and I received probably the most amount of calls for this type of business. And at the beginning, when I talked to the mayor, it was a free market concept. It's like, let's let the market, decide. But over time, and as time passed and we let businesses in, the calls that Jill and I are receiving now are so brazen and so over the top about what their intention is, which we've never saw when this thing was first instituted. And that's where we kind of, as staff, we put the brakes on it and said, hey, we need to have this discussion, because this is now becoming bigger than staff, bigger than the mayor. And, we needed more voices to talk about all these variables, because there are more variables than you can think of. But, we are seeing a serious uptick in just crazy, wacky, off-the-wall proposals for getting these places in.
Chief,
And
what's the status of the one in 10 at the bottom of the map?
for neutral zone,
Yeah.
they are currently revoked by the Illinois Gaming Commission.
Is that just a suspension, or is it gone?
It's a revocation.
It was a full.
They lost it.
So they'd have to, the only way to get it back would be to reapply with that on your record.
They would have to apply back to the Illinois Gaming Board, and from the information I have, they won't get one. Gaming Board pulled it, they just had issues.
Okay.
I have a bit of a concern in that if we're the only village in the area that's allowing this, we're going to have everybody on our doorstep. So if you don't monitor how many are coming in and put the parameters out there that don't allow for too many of them in a row, you could end up with a whole village of nothing but gaming if you don't watch out, is what I have a fear of, this going out of control. And you need to put some kind of a limitation out there. We may need to go to discussion over it. We may need to have committees over it. But if you don't do that, we could have everybody from all the other towns that want to come to Downers that can't, they'll come here. That can't go to Oak Brook, they'll come here. And you don't want that to be our exclusion. You don't want every business to do that.
And I think.
Just to clarify though, Darien and Oak Brook Terrace do have it.
Do have it, yeah.
Do have it. So one of our surrounding communities, our
Darien
neighboring
just
communities.
implemented it.
Darien, Willowbrook has it, Darien, Oak Brook Terrace. Woodridge was looking at it, I forget what happened with them. Oak Brook has just pretty much
Woodridge
said they
turned
will
it
not
down
do it.
twice.
So you have to consider that also, that if we lose businesses and Darien picks them up and they have great success, or Willowbrook or Oak Brook Terrace, that's on us, and that's the fear of limiting competition.
Well, I think it wasn't really limiting it, but limiting the location. And I've envisioned 8 stores in a row in a strip mall, all being a different type of casino, country and western, you got the Rock, and then you just go right down, you walk down the boardwalk and you go in and out. That's what I wanted to kind of look at. We don't want a strip of gaming places on Ogden or Cass or downtown. So that's what prompted this discussion. And then we started looking at 100 feet between 200 feet. And I do think it needs more research and a committee to look at it, but I wanted to find out if there's enough interest in continuing. And
Oh, yes.
And I think Bruce and Marie, myself, Linda, Jim.
Yeah, I think there has to be something,
It's
yeah.
worth putting it to committee. And Chief?
Mayor, I was going to recommend that, as trustee Nero said, that it would be a good topic for the Public Safety Committee, that we would take it up, because as the Police Department, Liquor Commissioner, doing it together, I think that would be a good place. That'd be a good committee for us to put it under.
Okay.
I'll be open-minded.
And the thing is, John started off, we mistakenly was calling a moratorium, and it's not. So anybody right now can apply.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what applicants are being told.
We are now. We are. We
Okay.
called them back.
Because
Yeah.
we discussed that, because weeks
Yeah.
ago, and they were.
John corrected us, that we officially never addressed it at the board, but we kind of said, let's just hold off.
But to Jill's credit, I think she's also looking out for these potential petitioners not wanting to spend $500 and get on, and I
Yes.
think that I know that you had said,
Yes.
hey, we're looking out for them. Don't spend all this money if the board's going to say, we're not going to do it.
What are some of these like goofy ideas? What are they proposing? I'm just curious.
I'll
Like, what
address-
could be different than what we have?
Yeah, so the one that I was the most concerned about was, we'll just use this one as an example. These are some maps that Joe and our department put together to show distances. So this is where, let's see, the neutral zone and Laura's gaming facilities proposed at 63rd and Fairview. And so I had a guy call who said he was interested in buying an entire shopping center, and then in order to get around the video gaming requirements, he would put in a different facility in every single tenant space. And then he could do 5
In each one.
5 in each one, but they would still meet the requirements because they'd all be separate.
Flashing
And
lights. And
Yeah, and this just, they could
Okay.
do all sorts of stuff, and it would make our corner just, not be the most desirable appearance. And so we brought this to the mayor's attention, because Jim and I obviously had strong concerns about that.
But right-
And technically, they could do that right now.
Right? No, I.
And right now, the buildings are very appealing. They're not
Right.
offensive.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think it's
Yeah.
just looking ahead and avoiding some potential problems down the road.
The one that I thought was a good fit was the old bookstore,
Yes.
where they wanted, because I thought, what else is going to go in there? And that one would surely be in violation, being in between the Potbelly and the Uptown.
Yeah.
So that was the one that I had, as far as like thinking, what else is gonna go in
I
that
got you.
half
Little-
space?
yeah, yeah.
And again, to bring people downtown, that was the one that I thought would have been a good fit.
Okay.
People can come in here and, request the liquor license or go to the state and get the video gaming. Can we legally not act on any of that until we've had this discussion?
That's a good question. I don't know what our code says about liquor licenses. I think there's a timing requirement for processing their application. 90 days to do the background check, process their application. But I don't know if that requires board approval within 90 days or just, it is.
Like, it has to be brought in front of the board and decided by the board within the 90 days from the date of the application, date of when you receive a completed application. So if they miss something out of the application, that extends the start time. Once we get in a completed application, that's when the clock starts.
But that's
You get
for
90
new
days.
license.
Yeah, so what if you had an existing
You
business?
could apply to the state right now.
Yeah.
We don't have any control over that. It's
Right.
new license that come in, we'd have some control over.
You could have Neat Restaurant could go
Right now,
and, could go
yeah.
decide, I want to put 5 machines in, they could go to the gaming
China
board.
chef.
And would
That
you-
individual
would
who's
you
interested in
even
doing
know-
that should do that quickly.
Chief, would you even know if an existing licensee applied?
Yes, what I do is when I do the monthly check, and I try to go through and see if there's any applications. If you go to the Illinois Gaming Board website, they have all the applicants who have come in. It's kind of hard, they don't separate it up by county, you just got to look through all of them. Then they also have those that were denied as well, too.
There's also two bills downstate, one in a House committee, one in a Senate committee, that would allow for some more local regulation, but at least some state legislatures have seen expansion, or perhaps over expansion or clustering as a potential problem, and wants the Illinois legislature to jump in. Those, I think one's probably not going to have success. The others was sent back to committee for review. So, and they've been pending for 9 months already. So I don't know if they'll ever go anywhere.
So definitely we should put this at our next committee meeting, and I'm going to, anybody in the audience would like to comment on it? All right, I just thought I'd ask. You're still here, so I mean.
But again, just to clarify in that existing business, he's already been approved for machines, so he's got a state background check. He's already a current liquor license holder. So I would assume that system would be pretty streamlined, right? I mean, there's not going to be some hidden factor that you guys didn't know in the background check if he's already has an existing liquor license, right?
No, the way it works is that a business must have a existing liquor license from a village before it can go to the Illinois Gaming Board and apply. They have to have the liquor license first. So that's why you saw these businesses come to us first, so they got their liquor license, and then they would go to the Illinois Gaming Board. So any business that has a liquor license in Westmont can go, without our knowledge, can go right to the gaming board and use their, because they have a valid liquor license.
But a second location for him, he would have to apply.
That's correct. That's,
So that
yes.
90 days would then come into effect.
Each liquor license is specific to a location, so let's take, Tom's Liquor Store at Burlington and Cass. If I wanted to go and get another video gaming license, I have to get a liquor license for that specific address. Licenses are specific by address, not by company.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet and Savory could put it in. Anybody who currently holds one of our liquor licenses could apply to the state.
They could.
Yeah.
That'd be a perfect example.
Knights of Columbus, I mean.
Knights would go under the, that other type, and I don't think they fit it.
I don't think they want it.
Fraternal, okay. But anybody
That's an
right now
example,
still
yeah.
can. So we'll put that on committee. Any other comments, staff? Okay. We'll move on then to miscellaneous, and I will beat Harold to it. Larry, I know if you wouldn't mind, maybe any update on any current businesses that have opened or closed that you'd like to make the public aware of?
Well, Trustee Addington noted the ribbon cutting at People's Resource Center, and that Standard Market's opened their new business there. We have a handful of others that are going through the permit process that will be opening shortly, and as we just heard tonight, Mariano's will be breaking ground next week.
Hardee's
So-
has taken all of their security things off the windows.
Yeah.
I see them in there working. That looks very close now.
It's like they turned the water on.
No comment.
Soon? Again, soon?
Hardee's is coming soon. I stopped by there about a week ago, and I don't have a straight answer on that, and that's one of the common questions I get,
And
unfortunately.
on the unfortunate note, we lost one of our restaurants.
Yes.
Pompeii's did close 2 weeks ago tomorrow, and however, we do have several businesses that are looking for restaurants in the area. Restaurants are unique businesses. They have a high value rate, and when new businesses like restaurants are looking to open, they typically look for existing spots. So we're very hopeful. There's a fact sheet that was just put together last week on that property to help promote it.
Good.
So,
And the sign currently reads temporarily closed, but you feel that that's just.
having talked with the owner, I'm highly confident that they will not be reopened.
Sad.
It is sad.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
Other miscellaneous items, trustee Addington.
Just one, and again, because of the length of the agenda, I've had this argument before and lost it, but when we've got folks like the gentleman from Mariano's, is there a way of changing the order around so that folks, folks that come with their attorneys or landscapers or architects or something, they're paying them. And I've always said, why have them sit here for 2 hours when the clock's running? Maybe we can adjust the agenda. The chief can sit here all night.
Right.
He gets the same amount of money no matter what time we talk about a new fire engine.
In a sense,
Really?
I did, but I
agree.
should have did it quicker.
We should have put them in open
Yes.
forum. That would have
Yes.
been better.
But the idea is just that when you have folks like that,
Yes.
who want to address the board, it just seems to me that it'd be nicer to put them earlier on the agenda, let them get.
I agree.
Let them get out, especially if
I will say,
they.
in general, we primarily do that, and you saw a lot of community development-related stuff all out there, so those people can come in there.
Come and go.
The agenda was pretty well established, and only this one example was kind of a late
Kinda
addition,
popped up
so
at the
it was
end,
just
okay.
put on the end.
We should have jumped him in front of the fire trucks and
If
everything
he
else.
would have been here
you
right
know,
at
that-
6, I would have done it.
Right,
Came
because I
late.
saw him sitting here and I thought,
It
boy,
came at
why
6:30.
did he even-
Yeah,
Yeah, it came a little late, so,
all right.
yeah. So he was, so I could have moved him a little further. You're absolutely right. And John did ask me to do that before video, and I should have jumped it up a couple more. So in the future, we'll be aware of that. I agree
okay.
with you 110%.
Good.
Any other miscellaneous? Seeing none, then we do not have any information for executive session. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I think the new people should.
Motion to adjourn Guzzo.
Second Little.
Motion to adjourn, roll call, please.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes, and thank everybody for attending. This meeting is adjourned, 8:32. Thank you.